Hello, Thrivers. Heather here, coming to you with our new challenge for the new year, our Better Me, Better Marriage Challenge. And just to be really honest with you guys, because I always want to be just very honest and real and sometimes vulnerable and raw, I always say a prayer before I do these live streams. I always pray to know what I believe God would have me say. Yep, hold on just a minute. I just had my little gymnastics girl pop in here. So I always say a prayer that I will be led and inspired on what messages to share with you and what needs to be, what I need to say and how I can be an instrument to be able to help you and help do the best good for the people that I have the privilege of coming to know, right? And so today, as I was saying that prayer, I just really felt impressed and inspired that I should share my experience with our challenge yesterday. And I'd really encourage you guys to do the same and share how you applied the challenge for that day. If you did your card, this is the one that we read every single day, right? We're doing a mini course for life challenge, going through this book and going through this 18-day challenge. And the card for every day is, do I want to experience peace or do I want to experience conflict? And then for day one, it was, I'm never upset for the reason I think I am. And so my experience was that with this was that I was keeping it pretty present. Well, I kind of forgot about it, honestly, at some part in the day, like in the middle part while I was really working on emails and stuff like that. I wasn't really thinking about it too much because nothing really came up for me. But then I picked up my kids and immediately, there's conflict between siblings. And I just reminded myself as I noticed that my son was really picking on his little sister and that this is a moment where I can choose, do I want to experience peace? Or do I want to experience conflict? Do I want my family to experience peace or do I want my family to experience conflict? Do I want to be an example of peace and peacemaking or do I want to be an example of continuing the contention? And so in that moment, I was like, oh, here's our challenge, right? And I was able to shift out of any type of fear or frustration and move towards peace. Now that sounds all great, right? Okay, so I did that. Awesome. Here's why I didn't do so awesome, because I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest, and I want to share what I've gone through, and I hope that you guys do the same. So share with me how this came out for you yesterday in the choice between peace or conflict. So then later in the day, I was kind of venting to Ben, and I was recognizing that my heart was warring. It was at war, and I had already slipped far into the mode of conflict. Even though I wasn't engaging in any conflict, my heart was at war. And I recognized that, and it just surprised me. As the founder of High Thrive Coaching, co-founder with Mark Johnston, I often step up as I am the leader. I am the visionary. I am the team roundup. I'm a team organizer. And I've really had to stretch and grow as a person. And the idea of being a leader was a huge block for me. And I never felt like I was capable and I never felt like I could really fulfill that role. And I had a lot of limiting beliefs, a lot of self-doubts. I intentionally actually wanted to create a business because I knew that I wanted to force myself outside of my comfort zone so I could grow. And I've grown and it has not looked pretty. I wrote a post about that at the beginning of the year. The moments of just guttural sobbing to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not capable. I'm never going to get this right. I'm trying so hard and it's not working. All of those moments, right? And I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And my partnership with Mark is awesome. He's incredible, but it is a partnership just like with our spouses. We have a partnership and it's a relationship. And I was getting very frustrated at some of the communication gaps that were happening. And just like any kind of relationship, just like we coach you on how to effectively have those conversations and how to frame the conversation, how to understand the other person. But at this moment, I had gone to the point of, I am just, pure frustration and my heart was warring. Okay. And I recognized that in that moment. And I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe I let myself get this worked up already. And that's not the leader that I want to be. That's not the kind of partner that I want to be. It's not the person that I want to be. And it shocked me because I recognized that I still have a lot of work to do. And I think that I get really far and that I've progressed a lot and I have grown a lot. And then something like that kind of hits me in the face. And I recognize that this challenge right here is just as much for me as it is for anyone. And then we're all progressing on our journey. And we're all working to become a better version of ourselves. And wherever we are, it's okay. It's just not okay to stay stuck there. It's not okay to be like, okay, that's just who I am and give up, right? And so that hit me square between the eyes. And I don't know if it hit you yesterday, but I recognized that I was wanting conflict. And like the book said yesterday, I'm never upset for the reason I think I am. So why was I really upset? And I got to the fear. I found out that it was some form of fear, just like it says. And and as I choose, okay. Yep. Here we go. Okay. I may experience upset as some form of jealousy, resentment, anger, or depression. Actually, these feelings represent some form of fear. And my fears all came back to, I'm not a good enough leader. I'm not capable of this role. Just some of those deeper limiting beliefs that I've held. I've always been a visionary. I've always been very creative. I've always had a big idea for the world or a big idea for my family or my friends. And as a youth, that wasn't always well received. And I wasn't always able to lead people in the way that I felt in my heart I really wanted to. And so I created this limiting belief, this story that I try really hard, but I'm not a good leader. And so I'm still facing that giant down. And when I recognized it for what it was, as I learned from my fear, as I taught our clients 2 weeks ago in that incredibly powerful training that we did in our group session, so good. And I just put together a new training on that, by the way. I recognized what my fear was trying to teach me. And it was trying to teach me that this really doesn't have anything to do with Mark. It has nothing to do with our partnership. It has everything to do with me and where I am and some of the fears and insecurities within me. And when I allow those to boil to the surface, they can take over if I choose to let them. And so I made a different choice and I said, okay, what can I do to have peace? If I want peace, and I do want peace, and I don't want to have a heart that is warring, then what do I need to do? So I went to one of my favorite, Brian Johnson. He's an incredible leader, guru, philosopher. I looked up his training on Leadership 101. And I'm like, okay, I need to up-level my leadership skills. I need to know how I can better show up, better serve, be a servant leader, and show up as the person that I really want to be and become a better version of myself. So I took the time last night to do that. And then I started getting those inspired actions. I'm like, yeah, I could improve here. I could improve there. And as I continue to choose to have that love, then things will work out. Can you give me just 3 more minutes, please?
Do you want some gum?
No, I don't want gum. Thank you. Maybe you want gum. No, I don't want gum. I'm going to just do this challenge and then I will come talk to you. I always have my girls home with me and they're usually, like, sometimes they pop in and out and it's super cute. All right, so getting to our challenge today. I don't see anything in the chat, so hopefully you guys can hear me and see me okay. And I'd really love to hear how the challenge went for you. This is the accountability time, right? So in our book, Mini Course for Life, I'm going to talk about we are all limitless, this section here. All right, to experience this sense of total freedom, it is important for us to detach ourselves from past and future preoccupations and choose to live in an immediate sense of now. To be free also means not to be confined to a reality that seems limited by our physical senses. This in turn allows us to see and to participate in the love we already share with everyone. Love can be looked upon as the total absence of fear. While all of us want love, many seem unable to experience it with any consistency. Our guilty fears from the past block our ability to give and receive love in the present. Fear and love can never be experienced at the same time. It is always our choice as to which of these emotions we choose. By choosing love more consistently than fear, we can change the nature and quality of not only our relationships, but our entire lives. So I shared with you kind of my, I guess, failure at choosing love over fear yesterday, but I was proud of myself at one point, and I just want to contrast this, exactly what they're talking about here. choosing love more consistently than fear. So then later in the evening, my mother-in-law lives here, and she's going through a very, very, very hard time with a lot of depression and loss, feelings of grief over the passing of her husband, my father-in-law, this summer. And so my husband, the last 3 nights, has spent time staying up late with her and talking with her and comforting her and kind of honestly being very point blank with her about she needs to start improving some things in his loving, amazing way. He does it so incredibly well. And they have a relationship where that works totally well for them. But this is the 3rd night in a row that he was staying up late with her, and I was exhausted. I'm like so tired after dealing with 7 children all day and the business and everything I'm doing. So it was 10 o'clock and I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. And I was feeling a tiny bit of frustration that he was going to be spending a 3rd night in a row with his mother and his mother. Even though she had need, I was thinking more about myself, and I caught it immediately. And here's the important difference. In the past, I would have immediately gone to the story that you must not care about me. I must not be as important to you. You're not aware of my needs. Why aren't you, coming to bed with me? Why aren't you giving me the time and energy that I deserve, right? I've already been patient with you for so long, and now I'm just done, right? And I would have been upset, and I would have woken up upset, and I would have been distant and cold, and then I would have blown up. This was the pattern that Ben and I were in. I would take something and I would negatively interpret it, and then I would justify my story. And if you want to look at it that way, it kind of makes sense, right? He isn't really thinking about me. He's giving all his time and attention to his mother. I feel threatened. However, I've learned that when we get to the root of the issue, and we learn to establish healthy boundaries and effective communication, all of those things can be solved. But the root issue for me was a feeling of I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. And that's just another instance of, I'm not good enough. He cares more about his mother. He wants to help her more than he wants to come spend time with me. I haven't seen him all day. I haven't been able to talk to him all day. And, and I could easily point at him and justify all those reasons in my mind of why it's him. But learning to turn that around and recognize it's actually a deep fear and an insecurity in myself. And when I come to peace with that, when I release that limiting belief and I know that I am worthy of love, that I am good enough, then I can see the situation clearly, and all of that tension and that kind of clench mode we talk about, it just goes away. And then I can recognize, his mother, he cares about her, and that's a good thing. I love that my husband cares for his mother. That says a lot about his character, and that he's willing to give his time and his energy and his sleep and sacrifice that for her, and that she really needs some help right now, and I'm okay. However, I am going to wake up and this morning thought about it, and like, okay, maybe we do need to establish some healthy boundaries, because here and there is okay, but for me, going forward, I need to have some kind of better expectation, more of a healthy boundary. And now I can communicate that in a very effective, calm manner, without the judgment, without the blame game, without all the hurt that really comes from the insecurity and the fear that used to live in me. So bringing this all back home to what it's saying here is that we are limitless, and we can truly choose to feel love more often than we feel that fear. And that's kind of the bridge that gets us together from the gap of where we are. Oh, hi, William. Hi, Amanda. Yeah, excited for the challenge. Very good. So I'm sorry for the big, long spiel, but I really felt impressed this morning that I should take some extra time and share with you what, I guess, a little bit about what my life is like on a daily basis, and some of the struggles that I still have, as well as some of the things I've been able to overcome. Because like I said before, like that one instance last night of my husband staying up late with his mother would have probably put us back a good week and a half of contention, of tension, of me being very upset. And truly, we've learned a better way. and the method that Mark teaches is absolutely works. And it's very, very healing. And beyond that, going down deep into who we really are and getting true to who we really are. Okay, so with all that, hey, Billion. All right, so we are on day number 2. Let me see where I'm going to go. Okay, where is day 2? Sorry, I'm just going to pull this out just real quick. Okay. So day number 2, there you go. I am determined to see things differently. Excuse me. Most of my life, I have acted as if I were a robot, programmed to respond by what other people said or did. Now I recognize that my responses can be determined by the decisions I make. I claim my freedom by exercising my power to decide to see people and events with love instead of fear. Whenever I feel tempted today to see through the eyes of fear, I will repeat to myself with determination, I am not a robot. I am free. I am determined to see things differently. Okay, so I am determined to see things differently. And whenever we feel that fear, repeat to yourself with determination, I am not a robot. I am free. I am determined to see things differently. So I'm going to go ahead and tear out my card. If you have your book, go ahead and do that. I'm determined to see things differently. And then on the back is the little recap of the lesson. So I am determined to see things differently today. I'm going to be honest again. I am facing a conversation that I'm very fearful about, or I'm working on it. But I am choosing already to come at it with a feeling of peace rather than contention. Again, as a leader of my business, sometimes I have to have difficult conversations. I really don't like contention. And we hired a woman to help us with our enrollment team, and she did not keep her promises. And so now we're looking at what our next steps are, right? We're looking at, we need to part ways. And there's some financial things going on there too with that she didn't keep her promise. And so as the leader of my company, now I have to have a very difficult conversation that I'm not looking forward to. But I am determined to see things differently. And I will choose that I don't have to see it out of fear. I can see it out of love. And I'm going to approach this potentially contentious situation, because I don't want contention. I don't want to have conflict, with peace and with love, and to put myself into a centered, confident, calm state so that I can handle that in the very best way possible, and that I can feel at peace about it now, even before it's coming up. You might have difficult conversations, things that scare you. So envision yourself doing it the very best possible and seeing yourself act as the very best version of you, even before it comes up, because we tend to obsess about things we're scared or worried about. So even in those moments, not even like in the actual conversation or the actual situation, but even in our own minds, let's determine to see things differently. We are free, and I am determined to see things differently. So if you're in, let me know you're in. I am determined to see things differently. Declare it with me if you want. Put it in the chat. I'm determined to see things differently. And then let's hold each other accountable. And tomorrow, let's let each other know how we did with this. So my love, my appreciation, my gratitude flows out to you. And I hope that you do your very best with this. And I'm going to do my very best.